I suppose here we're going to end with our most sort of weird and out there suggestion. But in some ways it's a little bit of my favourite. And it brings it back to Skyrim and World of Warcraft, like I said it would.
Oh, it's been ages since I played World of Warcraft. I don't think I'm ever playing that one again.
Have you played Skyrim / World of Warcraft to death? Well, consider this. Try playing them as if you're role-playing. So here's something that happened for me in Skyrim. So I'm a big lover of mods, right? And like many other people, I got really quickly tired of, when I wanted to start a new character, having to go through the long
The
ass
same
sequence.
beginning every time.
It's pretty long. It's great. Like, it's cinematic. It's shocking. You see a frickin' dragon. Like, it's really cool. But after you've played it, like, the third time, you just want to get the heck on with it. So there is this mod called Live Another Life. And instead of going through the whole usual sequence, you find yourself in a room and you talk to a statue, and the statue asks you, you know, do you want to choose what sort of life you're going to live, or do you want it to be random? So it could be anything. You could be someone at a shrine, you could be someone at the College of Winterhold, you could be someone in the Thieves Guild in Riften, or like I said, you could do random. So one day I was starting, I mean, this is literally years ago. I think this is probably maybe even before we were dating, let alone married. I went, okay, let's go random. I mean, times before, like, it's thrown me into, like, a shipwreck. That was the time you played, yeah.
I tried playing Skyrim once, and I didn't realise that this mod was on or what it meant. And so I started Skyrim, suddenly finding myself in an upside-down ship in the middle of nowhere, and had no idea what I was doing or what was going on or anything. Claire wasn't around to ask, and I struggled to learn how to swim.
I remember the time now that I started off in the shipwreck. It was when I was playing with my mate Rose, who is also the artist of Wonderland Nights. Oh, spoilers. That's the brand change.
The artist formerly known as White Rabbit Royal Scheduler.
Yeah, so there's going to be a brand change to that, but more on that later. Well, not this episode. I was playing sort of hot seat with Rose, and we started off in a shipwreck. And then we had skooma. We had skooma in our pocket. So we're like, well,
Skooma?
obviously... Oh, so that's the drug in Elder Scrolls.
Ah.
And we were like, okay, so obviously we're a drug addict, right? So we were just, like, bumbling along.
When your drug trip is so hard, you capsize your own ship.
Exactly. And we were just stumbling along the roads, like, having gotten out of this shipwreck in the frozen north, going, oh, God, we need to find more drugs. Literally, like, a second later, we were drawn into a conversation with a guy on the side of the road who went, hey, you want to buy some skooma? Rose was in control at this point. She just cut him down and took all his drugs. It was fun times. But anyway, my most favourite time playing by myself, didn't know it was going to become a roleplay experience until it was happening. I chose random, and I ended up in the Black Reach. I was in one of the highest level areas in Skyrim as a level 1 character, basically naked. I wasn't naked. I was wearing a necromancer robe. So I had been part of a necromancy cult, and then they just, like, abandoned me to die down there. And then what that meant for the rest of the game was that every time I ran into a random cult of necromancers, I mean, they just do this to any PC they see on this landscape, they'll attack. But for me, it was like, no.
It was personal.
It was personal. They specifically wanted me dead because I had done something to betray the cult or something. So then it became a personal vendetta to kill every necromancer in the land. And it just became a thing that ran throughout the rest of that playthrough of any time any necromancer was there. Not even necromancers, other types of mages who would randomly attack me on sight. It would be like, oh, they were secretly a necromancer the whole time. So try playing any game, and you're about to talk about your game. Try playing any game that's open world like that. try playing it with a different sort of goal in mind. And there are more mods that can help you with this. There's, for Skyrim specifically, there's pacifism mods to make people attack you less. Because there is a lot of random people attacking you for, like, no explicable reason other than you're a lone adventurer. But also there are survivalist mods. So if you want to be hungry and cold.
Ugh.
I've never used them because I just sort of...
Too real.
It's too real for me, yeah. I like my power fantasy when it comes to Skyrim. I don't want to have to carry a whole bunch of chicken soup with me or something. But yeah, there's a lot of mods anyway. Yeah. So tell us about the game that you have roleplayed in.
Back in the day, I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft. And I played on one of the roleplay servers. Now, the roleplay servers... Well, they've got a reputation and it's not entirely unearned, which I didn't know when I was going there.
Cool boy.
So I wound up doing a lot of role-playing on my own. And so I had my character and I would just act as if I was my character. I'd make decisions based on what he would do. And so I would accept quests or refuse quests based on what he wanted to do, what he thought was right. He was a pretty hardcore environmentalist because he was a druid. I remember that there was a storyline at that time with the leader of the druids being a bit of a... What can I say here?
Dickhead?
Okay, I'm allowed to say that. Yeah, the leader of the druids at the time was a bit of a dick, and so I viewed myself as being a rebel. I remember I found an NPC who was my apprentice. I had a pet that was a fairy dragon that I decided had imprinted on me and that I was raising.
Cute.
And so I'd take it around and show it things. And I just had a good time exploring the world and playing as if I was my druid. And I remember at one point I managed to put together a small guild, which didn't last very long. But I kept my tabard and I kept wearing it. And then there was the expansion where the leader of the druids, the dickhead, turned out to be a bad guy the whole time, and we knew it all along. And by some bizarre coincidence, the faction of druids that was assembled to fight against him were wearing my tabard. And so obviously that was my people. Yeah. That was my splinter group.
That's amazing.
So that was fun. I never actually got to hunt him down. He went to one of the elemental planes, I think, and you had to go and hunt him down with 20 other people, and I never managed to get enough people to be able to take him on. But yeah, it was just fun being a person, setting my own goals, doing my own things. And I think you can do that with any sufficiently large open world game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do what the game tells you to do. Decide what you want to do and go do that instead.
Yeah. I mean, back to Skyrim, I think there's even mods for, like, be a merchant.
Yeah.
Have a caravan, have a stall. Like, yeah, you can play different jobs and stuff. That reminded me, everything I said about Skyrim, also applicable to Oblivion and Morrowind. Lots of mods. And I'm sure this applies to many other open world games as well. Like the Fallout games as well. I don't want to sound like a Bethesda shill. It's just that...
They do a lot of open world games.
They do, and my tastes, at least in the past, have definitely tended towards their style of thing. So, which reminds me, there is also, if you want slightly more in-depth role-playing that's text-based, come to our Discord. We do that
fun.
There. Not just the Discord. I was also thinking, if you're in for an extended lockdown, say in a different country, the way that I learned to type as a preteen was I played something called MUDs. Multi-user dungeons. Now look, I put like a disclaimer here, if you fall into the trap known as MUDs, don't blame me, okay? I'm sorry.
Claire has been saying for a little while now, a couple of times every week, that she'd love to make a MUD based on our D&D world, Tyrrhenia.
I would love it, but it's such a frickin' time sink. MUDs are so...
If you're interested
involved.
And can rustle us up another 1,000 patrons on our Patreon, maybe this will happen.
Maybe. I mean, I would love to do it, but you basically...
No time soon.
If you want to run a MUD, you basically have to be doing it full time because it's such a labour of love. Not many people I think maybe like less than 100 people around the world would actually make money out of it. I think there are some ones that are subscription MUDs. But basically they are servers that are 100% dedicated to roleplay. They have extensive game systems, game mechanics underpinning them that are usually like really super customized by really creative coders who just do it for the love of it. You can get all sorts of things that you can't get in normal video games, and you can only sort of get in talking to each other through role-playing games, because obviously if you're doing that, you don't usually tend to have computerized systems automating the boring stuff. I say boring. Some people really like dice rolling. I like the tactile aspect of it, but I don't like the repetitive nature
and the
of
aesthetic
it.
nature of
I
it.
do like the aesthetic. I am a dice collector. But
you are a dice goblin.
I am. But I don't like having to roll and roll and roll all the time. I like a more smooth experience. So yeah, if text-based roleplay is something you're interested in, you can go find some MUDs. But the thing is, disclaimer, it'll be a time sink. You might get addicted. I'm sorry. But 2, I haven't found one that I've really gotten into since the 2 that I used to be addicted to when I was a teenager got shut down. So hey, random shout out, if you have a MUD that you're really into, dear listener, get in touch. I would like to try them out. But I have a small child, so it's not really going to happen. But yeah, that's a
What
weird
have you been playing during lockdown? Do you have any recommendations for the rest of us?
Please hit us up on the Discord or the Facebooks or the...
Any of our other channels?
We're technically on the Twitters, but...
Technically.
In
the meantime, tune back in next time for our very exciting political episode.
It will happen.
Watch the space for our announcement coming soon of our exciting plans for Armageddon.
Send help to our #New Zealand hellhole.
And meanwhile, keep gaming.